Look, we've all been there. You like someone so much that it starts to mess with your normal brain function. You see them and suddenly you forget how to stand like a human. You rehearse a sentence in your head all day, and then the moment shows up and you just don't say it. You walk away pretending like you never cared, and then later that night you're staring at your ceiling like, why am I like this? And the worst part is, you know it's avoidable. It's one sentence, it's literally just words, but it feels like stepping off of a ledge. And you're just gonna have to hear me out here. I'm gonna lay out a few things, but trust me, it's all gonna come together in the end. If you like them, you should tell them. Not next semester, not when you glow up, not when you feel more confident, not when you magically become the version of yourself that never gets nervous, never stutters, never overthinks, because that version of you doesn't exist, and it never will. And you are not gonna believe how fast life will move someone out of your reach without ever asking for your permission. One day you're going to look up and realize that the seat that they sat in is filled by someone else now. The shift that they used to work got swapped. The class ended. The friend group fell apart. The season passed. And now you're standing there with this weird frustration that has nowhere to go. Not even because they rejected you, but because you never even gave reality a chance to answer. And I know exactly why you didn't. You didn't say anything because you've been treating a conversation like it's a court case, like you need evidence, like you need the perfect timing, like you need to predict every outcome before you even open your mouth. But feelings don't work like that. You don't solve liking someone. You either act like it's real, or you keep it as a daydream that you visit whenever you're bored and lonely. And the problem with daydreams is that they don't require courage. They don't cost anything. They feel safe. Well, they feel safe until they start charging you interest. And that interest is regret. It's the random spikes of sadness you get whenever you hear their name. It's the cringe that you feel whenever you replay the moment that you could have just said that one sentence. It's the way you start imagining alternate timelines, like your brain is just trying to torture you. And you might be thinking, okay, but if I tell them, I could ruin it. Yeah, you could. You could. You could also ruin it by staying silent. Because silence doesn't preserve things the way that you think it does. It doesn't freeze time. It doesn't keep the dynamic perfectly as exactly as it is until you're ready. It just delays the moment you find out what the dynamic actually was. And that's the part nobody wants to admit. A lot of people aren't even scared of rejection. They're scared of information. Because information forces them to make a decision. It forces them to stop living off hope and start living off of reality. And reality is heavier. It actually has consequences. Reality might say no. Reality might say yes. Reality might say, I had no idea. But reality might also say, I like you too. Reality might say, I don't feel that way, but I still care about you. Whatever reality says, at least you're not stuck in that weird limbo where your whole mood depends on a look or a laugh or a reply time. Because let's be honest, that limbo is exhausting. You start acting like a stock trader. You're watching signals, you're analyzing micro behaviors like you're decoding a spy message. Oh, they liked my story. Oh, they laughed at my joke, but they didn't even sit next to me. Oh, they hugged me for an extra second. Oh, they are playing a song that they know I like, and they can see that I'm looking at them listening to this song. Maybe they like me. Bro, you're living in crumbs, and you're trying to build a meal out of crumbs. So yeah, you should tell them. And I'm gonna say it in a way that doesn't sound like a motivational post, or at least I'll try to. You should tell them, because the cost of not telling them is you slowly becoming someone who doesn't trust themselves. Every time you swallow a truth, you train your brain to believe that your truth is dangerous. Every time that you don't say what you mean, you teach yourself that your feelings are a threat. And then later you wonder why you can't be direct, why you can't communicate, why you attract weird situationships, why you keep ending up in half love with someone that doesn't even know who you are. It starts right here, with you treating your own honesty like a liability. Now let's talk about a situation that a lot of people find themselves in. The person you like who you don't really know. Maybe they're in your class, in the same building, or the same gym, or the same coffee shop. You've seen them enough times where they become part of your routine. And now your brain has created this whole mythology around them. You see them and instantly your chest tightens. You start thinking about how you look. You start rehearsing lines about what you should say. You start imagining them laugh at you or reject you or telling their friends, or the whole building suddenly turns into a middle school cafeteria. It's dramatic, but you convince yourself of this because your brain doesn't understand modern social life. There's a part of your brain that thinks rejection is the same as exile, so it hits you with fear like it's protecting you from getting kicked out of the tribe. And then you do the thing you always do. You don't move, you don't say anything. You wait for some magical opening where it's not weird, and you know that's never going to be the case, but you wait for it anyway. And I need you to understand something. Approaching someone you're attracted to is always going to be a little weird. Always. That's the whole point. It's two strangers acknowledging something human and slightly embarrassing to each other. There's no way to make it completely smooth. You're not a movie character. You're a person who has a real heartbeat. And that's honestly okay. That's better. Because if you can do it while you're nervous, you prove to yourself that you're not controlled by your fear. And that's the real win. Not even the date or the relationship. Those are great, sure. The win is that you stop being the kind of person who watches their own life from behind glass. Because you know what happens if you don't. You start becoming the almost version of yourself. Almost asked them out, almost went for it, almost had a moment. And almost is the most painful word for your future self. So let's make this practical without turning it into some script. You don't have to be clever. You don't have to have the perfect line. You don't have to impress them with your personality in 10 seconds like you're auditioning. You can just be real. You can say, "Hey, I've seen you around and you seem cool. What's your name?" Or you can say, "This is random, but I think you're cute and I just wanted to say hi." That's it. Just short, respectful, honest. And if they're weirded out by some normal human interaction like that, that's not your loss, that's your filter working. Because someone who's emotionally normal would understand what's happening even if they don't feel the same way. They'd still respect it. And if they do feel the same, well, you've just saved yourself months of pointless overthinking. Now, here's a second situation that I think a lot of people find themselves in, especially when you're younger. The friend. And this is where it gets dangerous because this one feels higher stakes. This one feels like you're holding a grenade with the pin halfway out. Because you already have something with them. You already have inside jokes. You already have a history. You already have that comfort of knowing how to talk to them. And your brain starts saying, "Oh, don't risk it. Don't ruin the dynamic. Don't make it awkward." And I get it. I really do. I've been in the exact same situation. Because telling a friend that you like them is not just admitting attraction. It's admitting that you want more than you already have. It's admitting that you've been thinking about them in a way that they might not expect. And that level of vulnerability makes people feel exposed. You're basically walking up to someone and saying, "You affect me more than you do currently." That's a scary sentence to say with your chest, but here's what you need to know. The dynamic is already changing, even if you've never said a word about it. Because as much as you try to hide them, your feelings don't sit quietly in a corner. They will leak out. They'll come out in the way that you get jealous when they talk about someone else. They'll come out when you overthink every hangout and every conversation. They'll come out in the way that you sometimes feel resentful towards them, even if they didn't do anything wrong. They come out in the way you start doing too much for them. Or the opposite, you start pulling away to protect yourself. And you call it distancing yourself, but the truth is you're just trying to stop the hurting. So you're afraid of ruining the dynamic, but the dynamic is already being rewritten by what you're not saying. There's another truth that's even harder. Friendships don't stay in the same shape forever. They just don't. People move. People date other people. People change. People get busy. They become different versions of themselves. If you're holding back your feelings because you think you have 10 years of the exact same friendship guaranteed, you're betting on something that life doesn't promise. And that's what makes the friend confession so important. Not because it forces a relationship, but because it forces honesty. It forces you to stop living with a secret that slowly makes you act weird. And I don't mean weird like awkward. I mean weird that you have to start living for their approval. You start waiting for them. You start measuring your worth by how they are treating you. And the moment you realize you've been doing that, you feel embarrassed because you're like, I'm supposed to be chill. I'm supposed to be low maintenance. I'm supposed to not care. But you do care. So stop pretending that you don't. Now I want you to hear the part that everyone skips. Telling a friend that you like them doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be a big emotional dump. It doesn't have to be a confession like you're guilty of a crime. It can be calm and respectful. It could sound like a mature human being who values the friendship enough to be honest. Something like, I've been feeling something for you for a while, and I didn't want to hide it anymore. I care about you a lot, and if you don't feel the same, I'm not here to pressure you, I just want to be real with you. That sentence alone separates you from so many people. Because most people either never say anything, or they say it in a way that puts the other person in a corner. And you're not trying to trap them, you're trying to free yourself. Because living with unspoken feelings is like walking around with a rock in your shoe. You can still function, but it slowly ruins your walk. It slowly changes how you move. Now let's talk about the fear behind all this. You're scared they'll say no. You're scared they'll pull away. You're scared of the friendship will be over afterwards. You're scared that you'll be embarrassed. Okay, and embarrassment isn't fatal. Awkwardness isn't fatal. Rejection isn't fatal. You know what quietly kills you? You know what makes you bitter? You know what turns you into someone who acts cold and detached and nonchalant as a personality? Years of never saying what you mean. You start building a life where nothing important is expressed, and you wonder why you feel disconnected from everything. It's because you've never trained yourself to risk being seen. And I'm not saying you should confess your feelings to every person you find attractive. I'm talking about that one person that you keep thinking about that's been stuck on your mind. That one person you just can't shake. That you keep comparing everybody else to. The one person that you're wondering, what if? That's the person who's costing you energy every day. That's the one you need to address. Because your mind doesn't like open loops. Your mind will keep returning to it until you close it. So close it. And here's a weird thing that happens when you finally tell someone. Even if they say no, Something in your body relaxes because you can just stop carrying it now. You can stop hiding. You stop living in that internal tension of wanting and pretending that you don't. And if they say yes, well, you just stepped into a reality that you've been too scared to even touch. And either way, you win time back, because time is what this is really about. A crush that you never speak about can steal months, sometimes even years. Not because it's powerful, because your imagination is powerful. Your imagination can create an entire relationship with a person without ever agreeing to it. Your imagination can create a whole future and then punish you for not living it. And that's why you have to bring your feelings into the real world. Because the real world answers you, it moves you forward, but your imagination will keep you stuck. Now, I know someone listening to this is thinking, but what if they're dating someone right now? Then respect it. Respect them. But you still have to respect yourself. And sometimes respecting yourself means creating distance if you're torturing yourself by staying close to them. You can care about someone and still choose not to suffer. That's a mature move. That's not you being dramatic. That's you being honest about your capacity. And someone who truly values you will understand that, even if it hurts. A lot of people keep their feelings hidden because they want to stay in control. This is a bit of a tangent here, but they don't want to be the one who likes more. They don't want to be the one who risks looking stupid. So they play it cool. They become an aura person. They become mysterious. They become low effort. They start acting like they don't care because caring feels like losing. And I'm telling you right now, that mindset will destroy your love life. Because love requires someone to go first. Love requires someone to risk something. It requires someone to be real, even when things aren't guaranteed. If you're waiting for guaranteed safety, you're going to be waiting forever. And the irony is, being direct is what creates safety. Because at least now everyone knows where you stand. At least now you're not playing chess with your own heart. And you might be thinking, okay, but what if they reject me and I have to see them every day? Well, good. That's character development. That teaches you how to hold your head up. That teaches you how to survive discomfort without collapsing. That teaches you that your worth isn't decided by one person's response. And that's a skill. That's emotional strength. Most people don't have it because they avoid every moment that would build it. They run from the gym of vulnerability. They wonder why they're weak when it matters. So go lift. Say the thing. Do it respectfully. And if it goes badly, well, you'll recover. You've recovered from worse. Just don't give yourself credit because you're busy replaying your failures like they're your identity. Now let's bring it back to the main point. If you like them, you should tell them. Because it stops you from becoming someone who lives in almost. Because it stops you from building a life of unsent messages. And because the world already has enough people who are terrified of being sincere. We have enough people who can flirt but can't communicate. Enough people who can hook up but can't commit to a relationship. Enough people who want intimacy but refuse to risk anything to get it. So be different. Be the person who can say it. Not loudly or dramatically. Just say it. I like you. I've been thinking about you. I'd like to take you out. I care about you. And if you're listening to this and you're waiting for a sign, this is it. Not because I'm magic, but because you don't need magic. You need courage. You need one moment where you stop negotiating with your fear. One moment where you decide you'd rather live with an answer than live with endless daydreaming and wandering. So go say hi to that person that you keep noticing. And if it's your friend, be respectful and real. And if it changes things, okay. At least you didn't lie to yourself with your silence. At least you didn't lie to them with your silence either. At least you didn't waste your own heart. At least you moved. And one day, you're going to look back and be proud that you were the kind of person who didn't let fear decide your love life for you. And if you're trying something new, like actually telling the person that you like them, just know I believe in you. You've got this. Have a good day.